Imagine that you are on a project that all the days feel exactly the same. Handling legacy code, you feel trapped in a great routine where all days you're doing exactly the same. You're fixing bugs, you're treating with legacy code. All the days seems equally. There is no excitement in your project. It's just one day after another, right? Have you ever felt that way? I'm 100% sure that in one point of our career, we have felt this way. Sometimes there is not too much to do really, because the project is what it is. And even if you try to improve these processes or make the project more motivated for the developers, sometimes you have to stick with it and try to motivate yourself not to lose that motivation all the, day by day, right? And what if I told you that there are some techniques that will allow you to keep alive as a developer whenever this happens? My name is Alvaro Saburido. I'm a front-end tech lead here in Netcentric. You can check Alvaro underscore code for Twitter and Alvaro Saburido for the rest of the networks. And we will going to talk about the importance of having a side project and how my career just skyrocketed as a result. As the first disclaimer, I had to say that it's not a fully technical talk. We are not here to talk or live coding, or we are not going to share the new frameworks, etc. No, this is more about how experience in the developer life. Disclaimer number 2, the following approach helped me, but take in consideration that every person is different. What might help me to be more motivated is not necessarily going to make you more motivated. This talk is the result of several discussions that I have with a lot of developers in the front-end community, not only in Netcentric but outside, regarding what motivates us, what makes us go forward in our jobs. And this approach helped 90% of the persons I talked with. So I can say that it is a good approach and might help you. Let's first talk about motivation. So can you in the chat, please write really fast what motivates you in your day-by-day life as a developer or as a designer? What motivates you? Okay, so motivation. By Cambridge Dictionary, it's just the enthusiasm for doing something. Sounds pretty plain, so really simple, but it is just that. It's the enthusiasm for doing something different, right? But I like this better. Motivation involves the biological, emotional, social, and cognitive forces that activate certain behavior. So it's the force behind what we are going to achieve, or trigger the behavior that we want to achieve. So to build something great, we need, of course, to be motivated and believe in what we are going to build. So it's a force that you will have to go forward any frustration, any obstacles, and continue developing. So it is a no true that developers and designer motivation relies strongly on passion and with challenge. So I can only talk from these two perspectives because I share between developers and designers that we often really motivated when there is a challenge in between, when there is a project that is really difficult and yeah, let's do it. We can do it. It's gonna be hard, but we can achieve a great web page or a great mobile app, right? And in the context of a developer, working, there are several points, right? But the three that are more important, I can do a summary with these three. Working on a technology that you like. It can be Vue. If you are a designer, it's using Figma, Sketch. Or if you are a front-ender, you can also use them. Have you tried React? Maybe you're more a full stack or backend. So you like new technologies like Spring Boot, Amazon Web Services, microservices, all these kind of cool things that are out there, right? Also having a challenge to learn from. So I go up again about the challenge because it's really important to have something difficult to overcome, that it will get a lot of satisfaction when you finally do it. And also, one point that was important for most of the developers that I talked with and designers, that the level of influence they can have in the final result. So they will feel more motivated if they can actually be part of it and make a difference, add value on it. So that was important for the people I talked with. Consequences on motivation. Okay, what happens when a developer or a designer is not motivated? Burnout. That's the first one. If you follow the sessions that we had this morning, there was a lot of talk about motivation and how it's important that the employees are motivated and so on, right? And one of the points that they talk about, especially Dylan, was the burnout. So burnout is whenever you feel like you cannot go any further. You're totally tired. So remember what we start talking about in the beginning of the talk, that feeling of being in a great routine all day, the same, lot of bugs, a crazy routine that it doesn't go further than that. That will burn out anyone because we need switch of context. We need new challenges to make us passionate about what we're doing. Also, it comes with unproductivity. So when people are not motivated, they don't like the project they are working on, or they feel bad about it, they start not being productive. They spend more time trying not to work on what their project is than actually doing things. So it becomes unproductive. And apathy. Of course, if you don't like or you don't feel attached to the project you're working on, you cannot care less what things are you doing. Of course, let's be professional also. It will be the situations that you will be in a project that you don't like, but still you need to be professional and try to deliver. Even if you're not motivated, try to do your best. But of course, we have to be clear, it affects us. And it's important that also the teams and the accounts take that in consideration, that the team needs to be motivated. So I often say that a project or a legacy projects kill the innovation start, right? So these old-fashioned projects, monoliths with a lot of old technologies that no one else use anymore, but like that you have to still work with Internet Explorer, polyfills, and even jQuery and all stuff, PHP, WordPress, for say some of the ones that I don't like that much, right? It's more a personal view. I will not be motivated. I will be motivated to introduce new technologies, to introduce new stuff. So a way to do it is having a side project. Why a side project? What do you consider is a side project? You can also comment it in the chat again to see what you consider as a side project. Turning caffeine into a code, that's nice. Building Lego, but different, okay? Okay, nice. I like those responses. So a side project is any project that is outside of what you're doing 8 hours per day as your current project, your current account, that allows you to do something else, to create new things, to use that technology that you was, I really hype about Vue, I'm really hype about React, but I had no opportunity to work on it in my current project because the technology and the client, it is what it is. I cannot offer anymore a better technology, right? So you get stuck and say, oh, this is really boring. Okay, take a personal project, a small one. After you go out from work or your weekends, it's important to say that not all the people have the time to do it. A lot of developers also have kids, also have family, friends. It's about balance, okay? But if you have the time and you want to build something for you, a perfect example is a portfolio, a professional portfolio that has your work on it that you can present it online. You can even contribute to open source. You can create an e-commerce for your friends' book about cats or bears if you were in the game before. Even game development. I used to program games meanwhile I was in university, working in something really different in telecommunications. It can be internal projects. It not has to be only personal. You can have, for example, an Netcentric dashboard was one. A lot of developers that were quite stressed by their project, or they were in the bench, they were participating in a Netcentric Jira dashboard to improve that project. That is in internal use. You use it for the feedbacks. POCs, for example, whenever you are in an account. Normal tech leads used to do the POCs, but allowing also colleagues to participate, and it's a way to refresh. And they are not only taking bugs and doing a sprint by sprint only bugs. No, let them participate also in POCs, something new, something exciting. Even internal libraries like the ones we see today, the progressive UX library that the guys work on. It was impressive, and it's an internal project, and it's something that allows you to do something different. I'm going to just talk real quick about my personal experience with side projects. So back in 2014, 15, I was working in a really boring application. There was legacy code. I inherited a lot of libraries that were old-fashioned, really bad programmed. I was only doing bugs that were awful, like 2 days to do one bug because it was difficult to track. And the company was like an old corporate mentality. There was no room for new stuff. Every time I raise my hand, hey, we can improve the performance. No, I stick to the bugs. So I created my first portfolio. I had to be honest, I did it in WordPress because I knew a lot of WordPress at the time. I worked with it. And then I moved to Angular, for a portfolio. That's weird, right? Not a static web generation, but it was the technology that I wanted to learn in that point of time. And I did a lot of experiments on Angular that allowed me to learn. And one of the lessons of that side project, when I finished it, is that I first understand that I don't want to use WordPress anymore in my tech stack. That's what one. Then I improved my skills in Angular, which led me to be the tech lead of that old company, that old corporation. I end up being the tech lead of the front-end department, and I was able to push forward to new stuff. So no more legacy code, new stuff, and I was one of the ones that moved that in the company. So that is because I learned how to use it in a side project. And it's true, it was a point of contact of a new job opportunity that I take afterwards. They contact me directly on the contact form of the application. My second side project was back in the 1980. I was working in a project that was just vanilla JavaScript and CSS. And I wanted to learn a new framework. I wanted to learn React. I wanted to learn Vue. What should I choose? I tried both. And there was no project in my company that had that tech stack available in that moment. What I did, I created my second side project. I'm a telecommunications engineer, and I have a lot of little electronic components in my house. If you see my room, you will cry. But it's full of electronics and do-yourself project and IoT stuff. And I made in Vue and Bootstrap Vue like an inventory management system where I did the complete thing: design, development, all the design system. I also did the backend with the Cloudinary for the asset management. I use Amazon Web Services. I learned a lot of stuff, a lot. I made the complete design process from the beginning until the development of the product. There was one of the only projects that I finished, actually, completely. You have the link there in the slides if you want to check it later. Then, of course, every year, I cannot stop doing a new portfolio version. So I was comfortable with Vue at the time. I started using Sketch to do the designs. And I moved to Nuxt for a static web generation. I see in the comments somebody talk about Nuxt. It is awesome. I just continue using Culinary, and I use Markdown for the blog posts and articles, and Netlify to serve the application, and also for Lambda functions and forms. So you see that each time I do a project, I try to learn more stuff that excite me. Something new, something that will help me get better in my job. So lessons that I learned there was better SEO, best performance, asset management, how to use design tool, how the design process works. So now I'm able to talk with any UX, UI department and align with them and be able to reduce the gap between the departments. A lot of business opportunity. I discovered the Vue and Nuxt community, having my articles in place to create content. And then they come a lot of side projects. I even did like a Jira kind of client with GitLab. This is the important one, open source. So last year I started doing contribution in open source, and I help out improving Nuxt content module and help to review and translate almost all Spanish documentation for Nuxt. Several small contributions come ahead, and you can see in the screenshots some of the conversations with Devi and Atinux. Then I create my own library. It was a big step for me. I put my code on the podium, like criticize me, please. And it was super cool to get feedback and get issues to improve that code that I was doing for Vue forms. That was amazing. Things that I learned about open source is that no contribution is small enough. You can help out translating documentation. You can change anything. The community is awesome. It's a different way to think. You will learn a lot. And when I mean a lot of new stuff that will help you grow as a developer. So as a result, 2019, I was a front-end developer. I was doing only things in a project that it wasn't that exciting to me. 2021, I'm a front-end tech lead in an awesome project with Vue, and I'm a developer advocate. What I want to say is that if you keep still, if you're in a bad situation in your project or in your professional life and you don't do something about it to change it, it will not change. You can have luck to then join a new project that is, but you need to do the change. You need to look for it. So now it is your turn to do it. I want you guys to share all of the things that you will do, all your side projects, and make the community be part of it. It's all about switching context. It's about changing what you're doing in the day for an hour, for 2 hours, and change it. Do something different that motivates you. Quick lessons and benefits that I learned. It boosts motivation up. You learn new skills that will directly influence in your real job, in your project. Basically, I'm doing POCs in Vue and Vite for my client because I'm doing side projects. You learn to know what you want and what you don't want. It gets a sense of responsibility because it's your project, it's your thing to do. A lot of job, a business opportunity, of course, how to manage your time. Open source is really rewarding, but it's really hard. And maybe your side project becomes your new job. Why? A famous side project. You know, the Vue began as a side project. It was Evan Yu working on Google, and then it started in Meteor. And he started Vue as his side project to improve some things in the community and in his job. And he continued working on it because it was getting bigger and bigger until the point that he started working in 1916 full-time in Vue. Yo, oh nice, Alvaro, but I have no time for that. Okay, that's pretty fine. But who wants to feel better and who wants to improve their situation, they need to do something about it. So think about that the next time you say, hey, I have not enough time. Maybe you do. Companies, and that's the last thing, should also promote internal side projects as E+D. So innovation also comes from internal projects. It's really important. Last thought will be that motivated people always find a way, unmotivated people will always find a way not to. Thank you very much. This is all for today. I hope you like it. I see some QA. Okay, Nicholas asked any tips on time management while having to work on internal and external projects. Obviously, you need to prioritize what you need to deliver, of course. So you have your internal projects, the things that give you in your work, you have to deliver them. But try to switch contexts. You have a milestone when you have to deliver something. So you can balance your time between the day to change focus during the day to do something different, and it will make that less hard, less difficult to continue working on. How do you find your side projects? Do you just browse GitHub? Do you mean my projects or ideas for projects? If it's my projects, I could share some links afterwards. I also want you guys to share your links to your personal projects. I would like to see them. Inspiration comes from necessity also. So if I see a necessity, I probably do a side project kind of thing. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you all for attending my first summit talk. See you around.